right, well, it's been a couple days, got the parts in, and so we are going to address the misfire issue. So with that, I think I've mentioned the car has about 98,000 miles, and really at that 100,000 mark, they recommend doing new plugs on these. The car is quite sensitive to aftermarket plugs, coils, things of that nature. So I sourced OEM and GKs for this. I'll show you what I got, and I'll put the part number in the description below. And then also my good friend Sam managed to source me some good used coils from the junkyard. I'll put his YouTube channel in the description below as well. But the goal here today is to get all the plugs out, which are easy apart from one on this platform, and then also swap out that number 5 plug, which I showed you in the code scanner, so we can hopefully get the misfire situation resolved once and for all. So with that, let's get started. So the first step in this process finds us back in the trunk with the battery that we just installed. And we're gonna disconnect this. And really the goal here is just to kind of clear any adaptations. And there is actually a reset procedure to the throttle and throttle pedal at the same time we're gonna do. And now we're back under the hood. A little dusty under here, but considering the age and mileage, doesn't look too bad. So step one is to get the engine cover off. I've undone the locking screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just undo the oil cap, put that up here for now. And then you can sort of grab this. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. Oh, there she goes. Put that down. And here's our 4.2 Jag motor. So next up, we're gonna come over here, just get the coil covers, and kind of pull this guy off, put it up here, and then we'll come around here and try and snake this guy out. Let's see. This may require 2 sets of hands. This guy, there she goes. And pull this guy out. And now it's a little cozy down here, but we can see our coils. Now I recall these have a little 8mm bolt on each one. So I'm going to go around and unzip all those, and then we have to undo the little plugs here on each of the coils, and then they can be removed. So just a quick check in here, but we can see I've got the bolts removed. So I've done this on all 8, and basically it's a little bit of a fight, but these will lift up. So the coils, and we got to get this little plug back here undone, and then we can remove the coils. So I'm going to work on that now. All right, so here we have it. This whole bank's out, and I've got the other side too. A little hard to see here, but everything's removed. These ones down in the back are a little tricky, and what I found is using a combination of this thin screwdriver and this little pick, you can basically pry open the terminals. So what I mean by that is using the little pick tool to lift the little release up on the terminal plugged into the coil, and then use the screwdriver at the same time and just push the plug off. For those back cylinders that are really tucked in almost under the bulkhead, that makes things way easier. So I highly recommend you do that. So now next step is actually get these plugs out and see what we're dealing with. All right, well, that was a little entertaining. Like I said, the plugs in the back are kind of buried back there, but let me show you what I used to get them out, and then we can do a quick comparison about the plugs that came out and what are going back in. So I found that this, with the little U-joint and short extension, just snuck in this back area down here, and same on the other side. And it was a little bit of a wrestle. I'm guessing these plugs are original, but that will get your back plugs out. So these are the replacement OE plugs. Here's the part number. I'll put a link to the description below. For these, they are not cheap. The best I found was about $9.50 each, but I know how big of a deal this is on these Jags. They are so sensitive to voltage and certain electronic components being OE. And here we have a little comparison. The biggest thing is you can kind of see some buildup on the old plug. Like I said, I'm guessing these are original, so basically 15 years old. But if we look at the ends on this bank, other than being a little crusty, they all have a general nice color. And honestly, the same goes for this bank until we get to our number 5 cylinder, which is this guy right here. And we can see how much blacker that is than the one right here, and even the guy behind it. So really that confirms exactly what the ECU was saying, that we have some sort of misfire. That cylinder is not functioning properly. But I am hopeful that this fresh set of plugs and the spare coil I'm going to put in will fix that. So with that, I'm going to work on getting these new guys in. They come pre-gapped, so I've got to get all 8 of these in, and yeah, I'll check back with you, kind of show you the replacement coil I'm doing, and we'll be one step closer to starting this back up. All right, folks, well, it's got a little hot out here, so I have to get a hat on, but I've got all 8 plugs back in. They all went in nicely. Like I recommended, definitely this combination for this platform. So you have the little U-joint, plug socket, and just a little short extension. With that, you can get all the plugs out and it's not too much of a nightmare. So with that, I'm going to move on to the coils, and I think we'll address the Misfire number 5 first. So again, thanks to my buddy Sam, got me some ignition coils here from the junkyard, and also a wheel speed sensor, which will be another project we'll be tackling once we get this Misfire under control. But we're going to take one of these. The nice thing is, you can see the Fomoco stamping on here. These are all OEM, which again I mentioned earlier, the Jags are super sensitive to some of these aftermarket parts. So if you can use OEM parts, that is the way. And the junkyard sometimes is your friend as far as saving some money instead of going to the dealer or some of these other vendors for the parts. So let's take this guy over to the motor and get it swapped in. And this is how I had left everything laid out. I think I showed you guys, and we can kind of clearly see how dark this plug is when we look at it compared to the others. So we're going to take this combination. Obviously it's got the old plug on it, and we'll put this new one in. Keep our fingers crossed that that's going to get us sorted. All right, well, installation is pretty easy. Just sneak in under here, and these seat down. So we'll go one at a time. Here's the one we're hoping does work some wonders for us. And this one back here. So these back ones, sometimes you kind of have to rotate just to get them past everything. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There she goes. Move the harness. There we go. And next up, we'll do all the little bolts. So just little 8mm. I recommend not doing these up too tight because my last X350, the little captive nuts in the valve cover started to come loose over time, and that meant that these were not staying as tight as I would have liked. So just kind of pinch them up just so that they locate the coil, and you'll be good to go. Just make sure I don't drop this one. All right, well, I'm going to tighten these up and then we'll get back to getting the harness plugged in. All right, and let's see if I can do this one-handed, but we'll start in the back. Definitely listen out for the click for each one of these, because that's how you know it's plugged in properly. And then last but not least, There we go. We'll just push the little dowels in too, so they're seated nicely. And there you have it. So that's how I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm gonna do the other side, and we're gonna get the car started like this. I don't wanna get ahead of myself in case we run into any issues. All right, well, you can see on this side, all the coils are back in. A little more cramped on the driver's side, but basically we're ready to test now. So let's head back to the trunk, get the battery hooked up as the next step. Also, before doing your cables up, hold them together. This is your negative and positive for 30 seconds, and this will reset basically any stored codes in the ECU and give us a good baseline for getting the car started up. We'll then get this hooked back up, and we will do the throttle recalibrate process too, and then start the car up. All right, well, should be straightforward enough. Get that snug down there, and not go too crazy, he says. It's gonna need a little bit more. Getting closer. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Perfect. All right, for the throttle reset, ignition on. And now if we come down here to the gas pedal, we do wide open throttle 3 times. 1, 2, 3. All right, well, let's give this thing a go and see how she behaves. Well, we'll give the car a minute to warm up here and see what it will or will not do. I think you all noticed, though, the check engine light seemed to go out, which is a positive sign. So I'm gonna let this idle here for 5-10 minutes, come up to full operating temperature, and then let's pull the codes again. All right, well, the car's still warming up, but I went ahead and pulled the codes, and I'll put those up on the screen now. But it actually says there's no faults, which is awesome. So that means the misfire has been resolved. And the motor is real happy. So I'll take you around front and kind of show you how smooth this 4.2 V8 is running now. I am a little skeptical that we have fixed all the faults, and I do believe the wheel speed sensor could still be an issue, and I'll show you why now. So basically, we have this ABS fault light that's coming up. We obviously see the cruise not available, a few other things cycling through the dash. Seems to be the classic air suspension fault. We got a few things going on here that need investigating, but no check engine light, which I'll chalk up to a win. And although she's a little dusty, she is running real nice and smooth now. So I think for today, I'm gonna put the engine covers back on and call that quits. But I think that gets us one step closer to getting this beautiful XJ on the road, and we can have some fun with it. All right, well, after a little test drive, I came to the conclusion that, yeah, we most likely still have that wheel speed sensor thing going on. Let me show you why. So, like I mentioned, it's still yelling at me for a few things, but now the traction control warning light came on. We've got the ABS fault. And honestly, when I pulled the code, the wheel speed sensor notification came back. So with that, I think that's where I'm going to call it quits for today. Gonna have to track down some other tools so I can get the car up in the air and get this wheel speed sensor taken care of, because I am not at the shop. And then we can hopefully get that swapped out, and maybe that'll get us to a point where we're roadworthy and can get a few more miles under the belt of this car and see what else needs some love. So thanks a lot for watching. If you're new to the channel, I think you probably see by now that we just love these Jaguars. And there's plenty more content to come. Love finding some that need a little bit of love to get them back on the road. and there's going to be a lot more of that to come. So if you're new, like I said, please hit that subscribe button. As you can probably see by the time this video comes out, we are right about to hit 5,000 subscribers, and I can't tell you how happy I am that we are almost there. My plan is to continue to grow the channel and really share the experience of owning these beautiful British cars and what things you can look out for and how you can save a few bucks and maintain them yourself. Also, we have the muscle cars. I got my 65 Mustang just about to come back on deck. We're going to be getting that thing on the road here soon so we can get that out and have some fun with it as well. So, hope you enjoyed this session. We actually have a car that we can drive somewhat. And yeah, until the next one, we'll see you soon.